We're in Scottsdale, Arizona, and whose event are we at today?
Kyle Mellion's business acquisition event.
Business acquisition.
Yep.
And you just got off stage.
Yep, just got off stage.
Now, you've obviously done that a few times, that presentation. You present in front of groups. I mean, this is kind of what you did before. And you just wrapped all that up, sold the company back, 6 months ago?
Yeah, actually a little longer, August of 23. We sold the last company. Yeah.
Okay. But then you joined Kyle's program here.
Yes.
For something to do.
Yeah, so obviously I like to work. So I'm a worker. I'm only 36. So it wasn't like I can just go retire because I need to be doing something. I enjoy working. So I like working 100 hours a week. Drives my family and wife and everything crazy, but I love to work. And so if I'm not doing something productive, I'm not any good to anybody.
Yeah.
So we sold that company. I'm still involved there. It's not like I'm not doing anything there. I'm still involved. Still own a minority stake in that company. Have a big team there that we still oversee and everything else. But, things are, relatively automated. And I said, hey, what's next, though? Because eventually I won't be there forever.
Right.
And I was kind of struggling with what to do. And I was kind of getting depressed because that business is like an extension of myself. And it was like my identity, which is hard to deal with. It's something you don't think about when you sell your company and everything like that. And then I've been following Kyle on Facebook for probably a few months. And then it really kind of hit me that hey, I maybe should look at this. And it was interesting and intriguing. And I was super skeptical of Kyle because in a digital marketing, internet marketing space, it's 95% fake gurus who are everybody's going to live in this fake Lambo lifestyle. They go rent a Lamborghini in Vegas and then they take pictures on the hood and, all this fake stuff. They got, the fake Rolexes and all this stuff. And look at me, I rented a mansion for a month and now I'm, living on this 12,000 square foot mansion. And I messaged Kyle and I was just like, I don't remember exact words, but I basically was like, are you a fake guru or are you legit, And oddly enough, Kyle kind of responded, appropriately. And it was just not trying to convince me, but hey, I'll send you some videos of a past event and you tell me. He gave, he was willing to placate me. And I was still unsure because I'm just man, I hear all these fake claims and false promises. And I know a lot of the gurus in the space and I know that most of them are BS. And so my radar is just up all the time.
Red flags
all the time. And not that Kyle gave me red flags, but it was just come on, we're going to buy a business with, 10% down and these are all cash flowing right away. And, and I'm just it sounds too good to be true. And I just spent the last 10 years of my life building this company that we sold and we did really well on it, multiple 8-figure exit. My partner and I did that. We had this incredible team of 110 people. I'm like, it's not that easy, And then he's like, no, it is that easy. He's like, this is the formula and the blueprint. Fast forward, Chris Wyatt, who's in the program, is a friend of mine and another marketer, and I've known him for quite a few years. And I saw one day randomly that Kyle commented on one of his posts. And I'm like, oh, they must be buddies. So I said, hey, Chris, do you know this Kyle character? Do you know anything about him? He goes, yeah, I'm in his program, dude. He's like, I just bought a company through his program. I'm like, all right. So I'm like, you're telling me he's legit? And he's like, dude, he's 100% legit. And I'm like, okay. And then literally the next day or that night even, this was all coincidence and fate, if you believe in that.
Of course. I
got an email from being on Kyle's thing from watching him for a few months. And I said, hey, we're doing a private intimate event in Wisconsin. And I live in Wisconsin and he's from Wisconsin. I'm like, this is weird. I went to my wife. She goes, look, you have to do it. So we paid the money to join. I don't remember what it was, 10 grand or something to get in there. By the end of day one, I told Kyle, I said, take my money for the elite program and I'm in.
Yep.
I didn't even need anything more. I was day one, didn't even get through day two. And I'm in. That night in the hotel room, I started applying what he taught that day. And I came with deals to the day two. And we're at Kyle's brother's house and it's a beautiful place in Wisconsin. And it was just, that's it. I never looked back. And so I had a bunch of deals that first night already. Kyle was impressed because he's like, wow, you just took massive action. And that's how we built that company. And so then once I realized that Kyle was legitimate and what we're learning is real and, we can actually build upon that, I've been hooked ever since. Had a lot of deals that I was interested in that kind of fell through for one reason or another. And then I had these two companies. Both went under contract in January, February-ish. And we closed on both, last week on Tuesday on 4:30.
Same day.
Same day, yep. We closed on the HVAC at 11 a.m. and we closed on the plumbing at 2:30.
So you got a couple day head start of everybody else who had intention to join, but you overcome inertia pretty quick then. You were already looking for this. This just was a fit, made sense, and you don't seem to hesitate. When you see something that works, you do verify, but then you just take massive action.
Yeah, and that's something I've only learned through learning from mentors, real gurus, and I hate that word, but people that I've joined. There's been a few programs, one where I met Chris Wyatt many years ago. Those guys in that program, I'll say Bobby Stocks and Rob Seckel, always shout out the guys who taught me things. I was broke and living check to check when I was in their program, and lo and behold, I took some of their advice and just started trusting in people, taking action. Though taking action's the key. And then we built up this wildly successful business. We exited it, made a ton of money, created a lot of jobs for a lot of good families and good people. And then now with Kyle, I just said there's no reason to hesitate. I trusted in him with Chris's, vouching for him, and then of course meeting Kyle, and I was hooked because Kyle's the legitimate, he's authentic. I just take massive action, and so it drives my wife nuts sometimes that I don't plan a little more. But that's been my success, is just massive action. Like, it overcomes all, failures or shortcomings, because I may take action on the wrong things, but I pivot quickly, like you said, verifying, realize that this is wrong, and then I pivot to the next thing. And once I get traction, I just go, and that's what led me here.
But it's prescribed action. I mean, this isn't like, let me just go work to be busy.
Yeah,
this
correct.
is like, let me go do. I'm not going to overthink the process. I'm going to follow it step by step. Right? I mean, that's
100%.
What works.
Yeah, exactly. And Kyle made it easy because he has a dialed in blueprint and process. And I just said, man, I'm going to trust this guy. I'm going to submit to him, which is hard for people to do. And I said, if it doesn't work, I'm out, a little chunk of money, not the end of the world. If anything, I'll get an education in something, and I'll learn what not to do. And I was just so hooked. I mean, I'm addicted.
Well, and this isn't meant to be a pitch in any way, but
no, not at all.
Like, I look at if you're going to do this, if you're going to buy a business and you're going to be serious about it, the investment in Kyle it's barely a line item on a sheet. I mean, it's
insignificant.
Do this.
It's insignificant. And the program is not cheap. I don't want to scare anybody away, because you shouldn't be. If you have the means to join this program, you absolutely should, and you will make it back in spades.
So even before the first deal, even just avoiding one bad deal.
Even avoiding one bad deal, it saved me money. I wouldn't have the buy box, and if you join Kyle's program or follow him, he'll talk about the buy box on his social media, things like that. It's incredible. It keeps you out of trouble, and he's essentially giving you the framework so you avoid all the bad deals. So we only get the good deals.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, your part, so that they know that you had a SEO, paid advertising, lead conversion, and then accelerated growth through automation. As you put those things, that was the company you sold, and you still have some, obviously, a lifetime of knowledge in that. Your expertise is in that. Is your expertise in the companies that you bought, or are you learning something new?
So that's the crazy part is my entire background, my entire career has been digital marketing. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing that. I'm 36. I've been doing that since I was 16. I graduated when I was 16, and I started building websites and things like that. And people asked, hey, how do I get this ranked on Google, or how do I show up on Yahoo, or whatever it is? And so I had to naturally learn that. I never set out to be a search engine optimization expert or anything like that. And it just, I struggled at it at first. I don't consider myself like some naturally gifted talent. I just have a hard work ethic. I don't think I'm an idiot, but I don't think I'm, an Elon Musk out here doing rocket science and engineering and things like that.
Teaching yourself rocket science.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So it's just hard work. And my dad taught me that, just hard work will trump everything. And I think that's true. So I learned digital marketing. I started at the ground level. I had jobs making, 30 grand a year salary back when I started, and I grinded my way up. And the last 3 or 4 companies I worked at all sold, and I was a part of that success. And not that I had any right to the money, but I said, hey, I'm tired of making other people money. I think I can do this on my own, because I had 10 years experience at the time. Started my own company, mildly successful, where I'm making 6 figures type of thing, which back in the day, 6 figures was the pinnacle.
Even 10 years, that was okay?
Yeah, I thought, man, I remember telling myself when I was 16, I'm like, man, if I can just make $100K a year, I'll be the happiest. Nah, that. Once you achieve that, that's like nothing, and then it's $200K and $300K, et cetera. And I just, eventually started this company, which was called Agency Elevation, and we did white label marketing. So we basically do the fulfillment behind the scenes for other marketing agencies. And that gave us incredible insight into what campaigns are working, not working, what industries are good, not good.
Brilliant move.
So I don't know anything about HVAC or plumbing, and that's the 2 companies I purchased. Right. But I know marketing, and so I know that I'm not going out there fixing water pipes and putting in water heaters and things like that. And because of that, I'm just looking at the marketing side. What value can I add? I'll get somebody or buy businesses that have management in place, and that's what Kyle teaches. We're not buying a job, we're buying a business. And I did, and it's been incredible so far.
And in the Elite Wealth Club, there's obviously coaching for that, programs for that. Kyle embraces this. This is, you and him kind of came up with you're launching something that'll really help anyone getting started. Buy the business. One of the first things they're looking to do is obviously take some time, evaluate what you got through Kyle's process, but then grow it.
Yeah.
So you guys are coming out with something pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's going to be Kyle's agency. It's not mine. It's based around my strategies and my input and things like that, because I wanted to give back to Kyle. I don't get paid for speaking here. I come here on my own dime because I want to give back to this community. And Kyle's very adamant that like anybody who speaks, it's on their own free will, not a paid speaker where,
right.
hey, I'm paying you to say good things.
You're not pitching. You don't have anything to buy anyway.
This takes me away from my time. It's my money out of my pocket, but I do it because I also want to give back to the community, which has been really helpful to me and, help Kyle. So I put together a roadmap, which is, the same roadmap I've used for the last 10 years, fine-tuned and tweaked to work within whatever the modern, channels and mediums are we want to be on. And yeah, Kyle's, launching an agency, and that's going to be for people in his group to that buy business. They need help with the marketing. They can hire his agency, and it's going to be based on my strategies. But he's going to have all this team to execute on these things so that these people can get good results without having to worry about it.
And what I loved about what you broke down is it can apply to any business, any industry, local, national, international. I mean, someone who's just on a diner placemat or on a church bulletin board or whatever. Fine, but where's all that money going?
Yeah.
So a lot of business owners you see have no idea where that marketing spend goes, and they can't really tell you the return on it.
100%. And like, that was the biggest thing with the plumbing company I bought. The owner was so he was just upfront and forthright on, he's like, hey, we're spending 10, 12 grand a month on marketing. I'm pretty confident it's not in the right areas. And I'm like, well, what are you spending it on? And then he's like, yellow page ads, diner placemats, sending postcards to people in direct mail. And not that like you can't ever get a customer or something from that, but I'm like, well, don't you spend money on Google ads or Facebook ads? And he's like, no. And I'm like, man, that's such a waste. He doesn't realize it because he just doesn't have that skill set. He was a master plumber, or is a master plumber. His dad started the company 48 years ago. He's been running it for the last 40. And that's all he knows is plumbing. And they built up an incredible business that's been around for almost 50 years.
Probably a good name, good brand.
Oh, good name, good brand, best people there. I mean, it was amazing. These guys are like a family, a true family. And he said, I believe you can blow this business up with your skill set. And he's like, help us, because he's like, I don't know how to do that stuff. I'm 60 years old. I had a heart attack. That's why I'm retiring. I only have 2 daughters, so my daughters don't want to do plumbing. So I have nobody to hand the company to.
Right.
And it's just an incredible opportunity. And I'm like, man, I can 2X this company in 12 months like that, following the same stuff I taught, just on stage a little bit ago.
Now let me back up to as you grew up in your family. When you talk about money, was money prevalent? Was money something we didn't discuss? What was kind of your early education?
Yeah, so my education was, we come from nothing. My dad is a blue collar guy. He passed away about 18 months ago.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. He had cancer. He died at 57. He died young. Wow. It was shocking. He died, 4 or 6 weeks after we found out, and so it's kind of a shock. The saddest part is that he didn't get to see me sell the company or see me buy these companies, because my dad was in the trades his whole life. So he was a construction guy, did commercial instruction. He could do anything, roofing, like auto repair, build custom cabinets. He was that type of guy. Yep. And the reason I do what I do today is because I actually wanted to go in the military. And he was like, my dad was in the military, and he grew up and he was an entrepreneur, and he had a military surplus store. He had a successful home remodeling business. And he said, listen, son, he's like, I really wanted to go in the military. He's like, don't do that. He's like, don't do something physical. He's like, use your brain. And he's like, the future is the internet and digital. He's like, be the guy that fixes the robots or the stuff when it breaks or whatever. And that was what he taught me. He didn't know about SEO and digital marketing and all this stuff.
Right.
But he pushed me to the digital side because he said, you can make a lot more money with leverage. He goes, instead of me, and at the time he was 40 years old. He's like, my knees are shot from doing all this roofing or doing construction or hanging drywall or doing it. And he's like, not that it's not good to have a skill set like that, but he was like, my body is destroyed at 40 or 45 years old. He's like, you don't want to be like that. So he kind of forced me into it. And he taught me everything about entrepreneurship growing up, because he had all of his own businesses. He was self-employed my whole life. He never worked for a guy as long as I can remember. And he homeschooled my brother and I. Even after my mom divorced him, he had us mostly full-time. And he would bring us to the military surplus store, and he would homeschool us while running the store. Oh, wow. And he would make us learn while we're there. Wow. So I was 8 and 9 years old, talking to customers, counting back change, writing up invoices.
Doing the business.
And he didn't care if customers were irritated. He was like, I'm teaching my son this business from the inside out. And I had no idea that he was teaching me these life lessons at the time.
Right.
And his work ethic, he worked 7 days a week, 12-hour days. It didn't matter. He did what had to be done. And that's where I learned that and how I got started in it. And then it just started to take off. And man, I never thought that I would be successful. So about money specifically, we never had a lot. I mean, we had a house, we ate, you know, it wasn't like we didn't have food or anything like that. But my dad was very much of the old mindset about money. Like, it's wrong to try to be rich. We want to make money just so we can have like a nice living for the family, but like, we don't do that. We don't invest. We don't talk about money. It's like, it's really wrong to be rich or want to have
just enough.
Just enough.
Yep.
As long as we have enough, that was
comfortable.
He's yeah. He just and that's fine. Like, I really appreciate that. You know, he just wanted to provide for his family and kids, and if he did that, he was happy. But I didn't really have that education on it, and so I had to learn it the hard way through my own means. I don't want to say that I was brainwashed negatively about money, but it was kind of taboo to want to be rich, and not that I wanted to be rich, but I wanted to have money so I could do things. I could have that quality of life that I'm wanting or chasing. And so really grateful for all the principles he taught me about hard work, entrepreneurship, discipline, things like that, not complaining or whining, show up, get it done no matter what. Like, if he had the flu, it doesn't matter, he's working. If he's, that's just how he was. But yeah, I didn't have that right mindset about money, and that held me back from achieving, I think, a lot more sooner.
Sure.
And he told me when the business took off and we were making a lot of money, I think, in one of our, better months towards the end, right when we sold it, we're making $200,000 a month each. That's big money. We're making over $2 million a year profit. That's a lot of money. He couldn't believe it. This was right before he died. He couldn't believe it. And he's like, hey, I should be asking you about money. And he's like, you teach me now. You know what I mean? He knew he was wrong about some of those things. And that's just what his parents told him, because his parents came from nothing and they were immigrants from Croatia, and you work hard and as long as you can pay your bills, that's good. And so I'm fortunate that he taught me all the good things, but I had to rewire my brain. And I did that through books, mentors, programs, being around guys like Kyle. Yep. I've had a few of those mentors over my time, like Bobby Stocks and Rob Seckel were one of the few that really got me started. One of my old bosses, he's a chiropractor who had a very successful business, Dr. Michael Johnson, taught me so much about mindset. One time we were driving down to Chicago and I saw a guy in a Bentley, and I said, wow, it must be nice. And I'll never forget, like, I was young and stupid at the time, and he yelled at me. He was like, don't ever say that. He's like, that guy earned that. He's like, why would you say that? And I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that I didn't intend for it to come across that way, but subconsciously I'm talking so poor and with the wrong mindset about money. And so guys like that really whooped me into shape by yelling at me. I didn't like it at the time, and now I look back and I'm like, man, I'm so glad he did that.
I needed those moments.
I needed it. And my dad wasn't there to teach me that mindset. And this guy was a millionaire, and he said, hey, do this. And man, I learned so much from those guys. And then, now I continually strive to be around guys like a Kyle Mallian or a Dr. Michael Johnson, guys with the right mindset that can really, really help me get to the next level. Well,
and I've talked to several of Kyle's clients in the last few events. This event is different.
Yeah.
I've yet to meet the person that says, well, I pulled some money out of my trust fund and bought a business.
Yeah.
Right? This is all some were absolutely dead broke, but others were just making it and didn't even realize this was a possibility. But what hits me in all the stories you all share, this is not a rah-rah, hands in the air, jump around, play loud music event. This is a emotional, remarkably humble and transparent event.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the emotion of this family and maybe why you all keep coming back at event after event. I mean, you guys are busy. So to take these 3-4 days every 3 to 4 months, why is that here?
Yeah, so it's a good question. Obviously, it's very much attributable to Kyle. He's a very transparent guy. He doesn't lie to you. He always talks about he leads the same life on social media as in real life, meaning he's not a fake guru. He's out there. Like, how you see him is how he is in real life. I've been to his house at the last event in San Diego. I got to go to his house. You get to see everything, and it's just like I thought it was from learning from him prior. But it's the community, because he doesn't allow egos in the room. And there's a lot of people here who have egos, but they're in check because they know that we're in a room where everybody can benefit from each other. And the community is second to none. Like, everybody is friendly here, and we share, and it's a very giving community. So everybody will hop on a phone call with you. They'll take time out of their day to review some numbers, help you out, give you input. Hey, maybe I'll invest in your business. Maybe I'll invest in this. There is a different atmosphere about this place because of Kyle. And then he always says your vibe attracts your tribe. His tribe is these people that are open, they're sharing, and everybody here wants the same thing. We want to buy businesses to improve our quality of life. And there's people in the room who are wealthy and have a lot of money, and they're here looking for the next thing to do or to keep furthering their, investments or assets. But most people here are just wanting to provide a better life for their family and not struggle.
Yep.
And you don't need, most of the people here don't have trust funds where they're like just multi-millionaires and have all this money hanging around. Right. They're people who have been working for 20, 25 years. They have a family and wife. They probably have money saved up. So they can take the money out of that 401k and buy a business and really transform their lives. And what sticks out to me is, you know, my first event was in Wisconsin back in November. And then I went to San Diego in February. I made some relationships in San Diego in February with Steve and Lorraine Vandenberg. Their daughter Ella, 17, bought a company through Kyle's program.
Her in San Diego, yeah.
They're incredible. All their kids are incredible. And we became friends. And they pretty much flew out here to this event just to hang out with me for a couple days. And it was like awesome. We've been going out to dinner each night. They had, you know, we're building relationships that are real and authentic. We are like-minded and want the same things. And that's how everybody in the room is. There's not a person in that room who I can't go up to and they're not going to understand what I'm talking about or what my desires are or how I feel. And it's kind of a weird thing because you don't see this at a lot of business conferences and things like that. But I will say the people who actually do the best in this program are the ones who don't have as much money because they take that massive action because they're hungrier. And so the ones that do have money, they're kind of easing into it and they're like, I do it nonchalant. I do it a little bit at a time.
Yeah,
and
it works. Don't.
Yeah. And at the San Diego event, there was a woman there. Her name was Alicia. And it was incredible because Kyle found out that she sold her prized possession, a Rolex, just to get the money to go to that event. And she brought her son with her. Single mom, had no choice. She's looking to, you know, improve her quality of life. Kyle, out of the generosity of his heart, ends up finding that out. Somebody told him, gave her the cash back, that what she sold the Rolex for, so that she got that cash back, sponsored her to join the Elite Wealth Club. And she just, as of I think last week or earlier this week, has a business under contract. Wow. She's been in the program for 3 months max.
Wow.
Hungry, followed the blueprint and process. She's buying a business that's going to, you know, 4 or 5x her current income, and she won't have to struggle anymore.
Yep.
And that's it.
Freedom.
Didn't have money, figured it out, followed his creative. Kyle's actually teaching that right now while we're doing this interview, creative financing ways to buy a business. Right. She followed that because she didn't have a lot of money.
Yep.
Incredible. Yep. I've never seen it. I've never seen that for any group I've been in where you come in, you follow the proven blueprint, you get these results, and it's repeatable. And then you have this community that supports you. You know, it's awesome. It truly is.
And what touched me here was your grandparents, your father put you in a spot where this became possible. Yes, your grind, you had to go through a lot of stuff to get there, but you were successful in that part. Now you're onto a phase where you're buying these companies instead of starting them. Talk to me a little bit about your why. What's your legacy? Why you're building this? What's next for you?
Yeah, so it's a good question. You know, I made enough money on selling my last company I could retire. That wouldn't go well. I'm 36. I mean, I feel like I'm going to die working someday, you know.
Right.
My why now is my family. So with my dad passing, it definitely was an eye-opener to what's important in life. I took time for granted with him because I didn't think he would be, you know, I thought, hey, I had another 15, 20 years or 25 years or whatever. He's 57, you know. Yep. I thought for sure he'd get into his 70s type of thing. You know, you're not really thinking that. And he's gone. And, you know, he was a key component that held our family together. Like, you know, making sure we all went to events at his for Thanksgiving, Christmas. You know, he was that guy. And so that was really hard to accept. It's life. I mean, it happens. We all lose our parents and things like that. You know, we're going to go through loss in life. But I have my wife and I have 2 kids, 2 daughters, 2 beautiful daughters. My oldest is Natalie. She's 20. And then my youngest is 7, Allison. And so the legacy is for them. It's like, I want to teach them. Obviously, sure, when my wife and I go someday, I'm going to leave everything to them. But it's not about that. Like, I don't want them to be rich, spoiled, entitled kids who just get millions of dollars and they just have these luxury, cozy lives. That's not how it's going to work. Right. I want them to go through the same struggles I did to learn the value of hard work, a work ethic.
Yep.
I want them to be, you know, thankful and grateful, but I want them to develop a skill set that makes them useful to society and have them be productive as human beings. And so that's what's really important to me, you know. And then, of course, it's nice to have money so we can do nice things. If we just went on a trip to Disney in November and we kind of spared no expense and we had a great time. And that's the awesome benefit that having money gives you. It's not like money makes you better or makes you special. It's not. Like, there's nobody out there that has money that thinks they're special. And if they do, they're just lying to themselves. Like, we know that at the end of the day, we all got the same amount of time, things like that. But that's really it. The quality of life is nice. And I'm doing it now for legacy. I want to build something that's sustainable, that my kids will be proud of. And hopefully someday, you know, grandkids. And then they're like, hey, grandpa built this and he's passing this on to the family and it stays in the family. Just something sustainable that hopefully can be passed down, because that was my dad's dream and goal. He wanted nothing more than to have a family business that me, him, and my brother ran.
Yep.
And we never got there. And so I guess continuing that on, obviously he won't be a part of that, but he is a part of that because he taught me what I know to beat that. Yeah.
You and you all did get there.
Yeah, 100%. And so I look at that, and that's what motivates me now. So I'm like, okay, my brother's here with me at the event. He's trying to buy a business. He's only 28. He's been successful in his own right. He makes 6 figures a year, but he wants that next step.
Yep.
And so for me, it's like, okay, can I build something that is sustainable long-term? And so that's my next step. I mean, I'm all in on this business acquisition stuff now. I started a company called Authority Capital, just my holding company essentially.
Yep. And
I got 2 companies. I'm trying to get 4 a year. So I want 2 more businesses by the end of 24. And I want 4 next year, 4 again. And my goal is to get up to 20 in the portfolio.
Yep.
I already hired a full-time guy, a friend of mine, Cody, who's going to be growing these businesses with me and helping manage them. I can't manage 20 businesses myself.
Right.
And so putting a team together around me to build up this thing that we can turn into some sort of enterprise that can be passed down, where hopefully Natalie will want to work in this. She started her own dog grooming business. She's super successful right now. I'm so proud of her. She works so hard. My daughter Allison is 7, maybe when she's a teenager and she says, hey Dad, what do you do? And I could be like, well, you want to come to work with me today? Let's learn the business. I'd love to do that and be able to pass that down.
She's not going to learn this in school.
No, she's not. No.
They're going to skip this part.
They do. Yeah. And all of our kids are homeschooled with like a private, education and stuff, because we don't, we won't get into that. But
perfect.
But yeah, but even in that curriculum, which is really good, they're not teaching you how to think about money. They're not teaching you how to think about a business. I'm not really a big fan of going to college unless you have to, if you want to be a doctor or something like that. But it's like that return on investment just isn't there anymore. Right. I'd rather my kids come work with me for 6 months. You'll learn more in 6 months working in my businesses than you will getting an MBA degree. It's just the truth now, 100%. So yeah, absolutely right. That's what it's about for me now.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot for 1 second.
Sure.
If there's anything you want to say to Kyle, Kyle's that camera.
All I can say is, I appreciate Kyle very much and everything you've taught me in a short period of time. Answering my questions. I know I've been annoying and nosy and a pain in the butt, but thank you for everything you've taught us, and it's definitely legitimate. Like, I'll say that. Like, I would vouch for this program 100 times over, and that's why I spend my own money to come here and speak and teach and try to help share my knowledge with the community. So my family and I are very grateful.
Biggest thing I got out of listening to you in terms of what may help Kyle, you were his biggest skeptic.
Yeah, 100%.
And checked him out.
Yep.
Verified, and within a very short period of time, worked his process and on to the next phase of your life.
Yeah, 100%.
Is that something you wouldn't mind telling Kyle?
Yeah, so, my life has changed drastically because I have purpose again. So when I had my company, we had purpose. We're building that, we're growing that, and of course, that's your purpose at the time. Sold that, and then I was kind of left holding the bag. Like, I don't know what to do next. And so when I got in, I just realized, like, something clicked. There's something about Kyle. I think the fact he's from Wisconsin, I resonate with that. But he's so transparent, down to earth, and it wasn't hypey, it wasn't gimmicky. It was like, here's the model and the blueprint. I've done it. Here's what it looks like. Do it. And I just said, okay, that's it. Not to watch my language. It's like, fuck it, just do it. That's right. Just get out there and do it. So I did it. And I was close to having a couple businesses under right away within a few weeks, and I wanted to set the record in the group and all that stuff because I'm competitive also. Yep. You got to be competitive.
No.
But it didn't happen, but it did happen within 4 or 5 months. 2 companies and another couple already underway that were looking good. So